What's up, everybody? Bradley Flowers here with this week's episode of Centers of Influence podcast. For those of you that don't know, unfortunately, the Power of Positivity podcast name was not only already taken in the podcast space, but it was also already taken in the mobile space. So everybody check out David Clark's podcast, the Power of Positive Thinking. The two names are just so close together. I couldn't do that to my good buddy David. So we decided to rename the podcast to the Centers of Influence podcast, which is something that I've always heard my entire life or my entire career in the insurance industry. You go out and you connect with those centers of influence. Way before the word influencer was popular or a social buzzword, are those centers of influences in communities. People who make things happen. And that's essentially the type of folks that we're interviewing on this show anyway, is cool people doing cool things, which was one of my name suggestions on Instagram that somebody sent to me. And we actually put it up to a vote. So it came down to Positivity Portal or Centers of Influence. And actually Positivity Portal worked, but I went won. And I went completely against what I tell anybody that I'm ever talking to about marketing, in that you do what the market wants you to do. I completely went against that and said, no, I'm doing Centers of Influence. I like that name better. So super excited to have this week's guest, Terrance, director at the innovation team, Mobile Innovation Team, here at their office. It's literally my favorite office in all of Mobile. It's the coolest office in the world. Terrance, really appreciate you coming on, man. Before we get started, for the two people watching this that don't know who you are, tell everybody who you are and what the innovation team does.
All right, I'm Terrance Smith. I'm the director of innovation here in the city of Mobile. We are, I like to think of ourselves as the city's in-house consultancy for identifying inefficiencies within city government. But simply put, we're just a force multiplier. So we work with other departments to identify what things that they could be doing differently that they might not have the capacity to do. Because on a daily basis, these guys they're doing the work that keeps the city going. They don't have time to stop and think long and hard about and whiteboard things out. And so we do, and so we work hand in hand with them to identify ways to make their job much easier and improve service delivery to citizens.
So what in the world got you into this?
You know what? So it's an interesting story. I started out in social services. I worked at Alta Point as a case manager. Then I moved on to the housing board as a youth advocate.
Okay.
Then I moved over to the education realm and social services, so nonprofit with the Mobile Area Education Foundation, and I work with them to help develop the at-risk high school, which was the EOP program. Okay. So even the education officers program, I worked with Jeremiah Newell and some of those people over there, and really good experience and being able to take something from the ground and all the way up. It became the state's first charter school. I had such a love for the city and helping the city grow and develop that I took on a project by myself. I took on a project with the we call it Pop-Up Mobile. And so we decided it was a vacant building on 1 Broad Street, which is directly across from the Checkers. Mm-hmm. and the ABC store.
So right there, kind of where Container Yard is now.
Yeah. So on the other side, so where they have the Mardi Gras court.
Yep.
Mardi Gras organization bought the building, and so we opened the building up. We cleaned it out. It had been vacant for years, and brought a couple of friends over. It's an interesting story. I brought one friend from high school, one of my former students, and we came in and we helped just to open this building up. We were cleaning it out, and then a group of homeless people walked down, and they said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we said, "We're restoring viruses to Mobile. You want to help?" So they said, "Yeah." I said, "How can we help?" Grab a paintbrush. So they grabbed paintbrushes. This couple from Old Dolphin Way walked down. They said, "What are you guys doing here?" So "We're restoring viruses to Mobile. You want to help?" And so they was like, "Yeah." So they, "How can we help?" Grab a broom. So they came in and grabbed a broom. So if you imagine, there's a black guy, 2 black guys, a Hispanic guy, 6 homeless people, and then this affluent couple from Old Dolphin Way in this building, cleaning and sweeping. They had no other details other than we restored viruses to Mobile. So then when the news personalities came by, I think it was Avery, she came by, she said, "What are you guys doing in here?" I said,
Avery Cotton?
Yeah. So we're restoring viruses to Mobile. You want to help? And so she came and she had a camera and she videoed it, and literally, without taking us 2 weeks, Only took us about a week to get going. We opened the building up for 4 hours on that Saturday. I think we did about 550 participants, 550 patrons there.
What's the chances of all that happening?
Yeah.
All those things lining up for all those people to be there.
And we had no plan. And so for me, it's always been kind of about just trusting the people around you and trusting the process. You have an idea. I believe we all have ideas for a reason. I mean, we all have great ideas. I just think that we hold back on them because we don't think that we're enough to complete them. And in reality, we're not enough by ourselves to complete great things. We need other people, but you have to trust that other people will see the vision and come along. And so the mayor saw it. And then, at the time, the director of innovation was a friend of mine. And so we were there. And so the mayor asked me, he saw me once before, he said, "Have you all moved to Mobile yet?" Because the first time I saw him, he was doing a community day, and he asked me that I lived to see him. He said, "So I was out there, moved to Mobile." And I said, "You guys have way too many problems in the city of Mobile, never coming." So he saw me, he said, "Well, have you moved to Mobile yet?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "How long have you been here?" I said, 6 hours. My wife is organizing the moving truck right now. About 6 weeks later, he called me to work for the innovation team.
Was she literally moving the moving truck right then?
Yeah, she was actually
I didn't know if that was like a pre-commitment, like, yeah, I've moved.
No. It was actually, I had moved that day.
Wow.
And my wife was organizing the truck for the people to move the stuff inside the house. So that was it. 6 weeks later, here I am in the city.
So what did that, I know that some of the things you guys are doing, it's probably, my perception is it's taking everybody in the city a little while to kind of adjust and get used to having this consultancy firm, essentially. How was that process of getting everybody warmed up to that?
So I tell you what, I had the ability to come in as the third innovation team director. So they had already beat a couple of people up.
Yeah.
So by the time I got there, they were kind of coming around to this concept of the team. But one of the things we realized is that the team at the time had 3 years. We were on a 3-year grant.
Okay. And
so you have to get things done in a timely manner. Not only because the grant is running out, but because improving service delivery is something that you just can't wait to do.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was mainly about well, for me, when I came in, I thought about if I was on the other end of this deal, how would I want people to approach me? How would I want people to explain things to me? And so it was more of a sociology.
Yeah.
A sociology type of methodology to come in. So we came in, so my degrees in anthropology, sociology, communications, with a master's degree in instructional design and development. So I kind of put all that together and said, these guys that are on the team, they have amazing skills, but I brought the people side of it to it. And so how do we manage the pace of change? How do we become even more patient? How do we make sure that we meet our benchmarks? And then how do we know when it's just time to pull all the way off of something and go to something else, and then come back to the thing we were on when people are ready. And so that has taken a little while to catch on, but we also believe that if you just do good work with people will see it.
Do the right thing, it's gonna work out.
Yeah, and so one of the things we realized was that the model has always been to go to the top, then work your way down. Well, we came into the city, we were not top people. We were people that do the work. We were most closely with the people who do the work. And so we came in and we started working with the armies. The armies are all the people that do the work. So once they see that their lives are going to become better by doing this thing this certain way, then they become the force that pushes it up to the top. And then the people at the top, they just fall in line.
And so part of your job too is talking to other cities, whether it's people in the same role as you or different roles, and then trying to bring that to Mobile.
Yeah.
How important, and I know the answer, but how important is that to you to be able to see other things going on in other cities? Because I know, with us and my industry, it's so good to network with other industries, because every industry has this where you get, and especially government has this, where you get kind of set in your ways and, we've always done it that way, the phrase that kills every business. And sometimes when you say, wait a minute, it's done this way in this industry and that's a lot better, you can then implement that. How important is that in your role?
So it's super important. I mean, because, like you say, the phrase, we always done it this way. We've always done it this way because we've only seen it done this way.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, it's protection. If I've done it this way, I know it this way, then I can do it frontwards and backwards this way without messing up. It isn't until someone comes and breaks that and say, well, we should change it, then I feel like I'm losing my power, I'm losing my grip, I'm losing my status and my influence because I know it this way. I'm gonna have to learn in a different way. And so one of the things we realized was that, let's go out to larger cities and both smaller cities, see how they do things, right? And then come back, because if you're stuck doing the work every day and you hadn't seen anything different, you're gonna keep doing it the way you know to do it because you know it works. When you change it, it's when you run the risk of failing. What we also over here, we have the ability to fail. Because we fail fast, right? We learn from those failures.
Yep.
But if you're out in the field and you're doing work, you don't have the ability to fail. And so it takes someone that's not in the field to kind of see something and then lower the risk of failure for the people that actually deliver the services. And so, for example, we took a trip to South by Southwest.
Yep.
If you're in the government capacity, you're like, oh my God, taking a trip to South by Southwest, like, that's a waste of money.
Yep.
Well, in reality,
I can imagine.
It's a shock, right?
Yeah.
But when you get there, you think about, there is a festival going on, but there's also a bunch of services being delivered throughout that festival. How do you take in that many people and make sure that they flow through the city with ease, that traffic is flowing, that we're not destroying the city? And so that's what we got a chance to see. So for one small example, one small innovation, we get there and we realize that there are going to be a ton of people advertising their events from all over the city. These people are not from that city, so they don't have any pride in that city. So they can put their stickers on the trash cans, on the parking meters, on the walls. The city was prepared for that. They went and they shrink wrapped all of their columns, all of their trash cans, all of their parking meters, anything that was bolted to the ground, they wrapped it. So they didn't have to create an ordinance for anything. They just wrapped it.
No government processes had to happen to make,
Yeah, so now you come in, you advertise, they're welcoming you to advertise your events. You come on the last day, and instead of having a big, massive cleanup crew, there are 3 guys. They're cutting it down the middle, they're pulling that shrink wrap off, throwing it in the trash, move to the next one. And so now we're not punishing the people who come in to market their events. We're not having to create a huge crew to do that work. And the city looked just as good as it did before everyone came.
I love that because you kind of accomplish both goals.
Yeah.
You keep people from messing your stuff up, but you also cater to the people that are coming there because you want them coming to your city because it's bringing dollars in.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
And I think that, but you have to go and see that. But also, I'm going to tell you, not everyone has the mentality to go to a festival and stay focused on what you came to learn, right? It's easy to get there and get wrapped up in everything that's going on, but realize that you're there for a reason. So the first time we were there, we saw the scooters being dropped off in Austin. So we quickly realized that, this could be big in Mobile. This also could be a disaster if you don't roll it out right, because we saw what was happening. Austin had the infrastructure already in place for bike lanes and protected bike lanes, so that really spoke out to us, and we came home in Mobile and we're realizing that we are behind on certain aspects that we should really get ramped up and caught up on some of those things. And we're going to drop schools, we're going to encourage a bike culture. We should have not just bike lanes, but protected bike lanes. And you understand that when you see it and you see how many cars and people, because we can't just assume that everyone in the city will always be from the city. So there are some people who don't understand the culture, or understand bike culture, any of that culture, so they have to create it.
On the way here, I was turning right up here on Government Street, and there was a guy in the bike lane turning right. I'm just like, come on, man. Like, you can tell that's not a lane, And we're in the middle of Mardi Gras right now, for those of you that don't know. It picked a great time to come downtown in the middle of the day, but he was trying to get to his, his party. So before we let you go, talk about 1 or 2 projects that you guys have accomplished in the city of Mobile. I want you to talk about the one you're most proud of and the one that was the most difficult. Maybe the same one.
So they're all pretty difficult. So the one that people talk about the most is the Blight project. I think it was a good project because it lasted through about 3 iterations of the I team. Started with the original director. It's kind of blown up and developed by the second director, and then it's still here through the third director, and we're kind of going through Blight 2.0 for Blight. So one of the things that made that most impactful was that we had no idea of how big the Blight project was in the city, and so once you're able to move from pencil and paper to actual using like something like Instagram as a prototype to identify all the blighted structures in the city, to then bring in another department to create a real app that we can use for the city, the ArcGIS Collector app. And then they have all these other departments that were so bogged down with pencil and paper, and now they're able to actually do their job and feel really good about it, and we're able to identify areas in the city that need to be torn down and redeveloped. That was really good, but to me, it was a really good project just because of the amount of people. It broke down a lot of silos and brought a lot of people together, and started the whole movement of people being able to see themselves outside of their one small department in the city. One of the most enjoyable projects that we've been working on is Parks and Rec. So we got into Parks and Rec because they were having quite a few issues, kind of an outdated structure. We spent about 2 years working with them, as I say, all around the house, even this part.
Yeah.
It's all about, we work with them to create a new vision and mission statement, a new strategic plan, a new structure, help them with placing a new leadership team in place, hired a new director. And so now you see that the place is thriving, a new website,
yep.
new ways of operating, just a new energy inside of that. For us, that's really big because we remember what those places were like before, and in 2 years you go back and look and you see it's vibrant, it's thriving, kids are coming.
You can really see the impact that you've made.
See the impact, and a lot of times citizens don't get a chance to see where something went from where it was, because most times you can go and make a complaint and then you expect someone to fix it, but then someone has to fix that, and it's usually a lot of people. For us, it involved going out and doing months of interviews with stakeholders, so both the citizens and both the employees, both the directors and people and the visitors of the city, because most times we like to focus on, if you're a citizen, you get priority. If you're an employee, you get priority. But what about the visitors, people who come here who also want to recreate in our city, who want to enjoy the city? We should take their input as well. Mm-hmm. And so that was one of the most enjoyable projects, and we built a long-lasting relationship with Parks and Rec, which spilled over into public services and then public works. And so we have this major partnership with public works and public services and Parks and Rec engineering to create a better relationship with them, ways that we could not have done if we just were going department by department. So Parks and Rec opened that door for us, and that also gave us a chance to speak directly to citizens on a more intimate basis in their setting, because a lot of times people interact with the government is when they're coming to City Hall or coming downtown.
It's not the other way.
Yeah, but you learn much more from people when you're in their space, because they can show you what they're talking about versus telling you what they're talking about.
But when they're coming to you, 9 times out of 10, they don't want to be there.
Yeah. And you're in a position of power.
Yeah.
And so, but it's just like taking a trip. I like to think about these things, taking a trip to another country. You're in another country, you humble yourself and you're more open.
Yeah.
Because you're not in your space. This is not your culture. This is not your domain. And so you have to be open. You have to learn. You have to listen. And so for us, it's always important to get out of our space to go into someone else's spaces where we're open and we're having to trust the people and take information that way.
That's right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, man.
No prep for this. We just showed up and started filming. Really appreciate you, Terrance. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate everything you do for the city.
Thank you.
The most fashionable guy I know, and that is the truth. That's this week's episode. We'll see you guys next week. Really appreciate it.